It keeps the boat moving.
Look up to the skies.
The paddle steers you on.
Look deep inside.
We're here without directions.
An eye for an eye, a life for a dream.
It keeps the boat moving.
Look up to the skies.
The paddle steers you on.
Look deep inside.
We're here without direction.
Going back to when you weren't so proficient with production or putting out really well produced things yourself, how did that how did you get into that, and what was your relationship with that?
Well, the first thing that happened was I really wanted to make albums, and back in like 2005 when I started seriously considering that, I was I guess 16, and they had these little digital home recorders that like were made by Boss that were like $400 or something, which is a lot of money. I guess it's still a lot of money, but like for the ability to record, it's not a lot of money, but it still was at the time. And I was really lucky that I was very seriously like interested in this, and my parents bought me the $400 device. And so sort of tied into my like guitar education was me like recording myself shredding and trying to be clean and doing a million takes. And in doing a million takes, you start to like learn, like you learn a lot about music though. You learn a lot about your own playing and get an idea of like what's really sloppy and what's not. And so I just had this relationship with recording pretty early on in my guitar playing, where it was like a way that I would tell the world that I practice. Like basically my music was about expressing that I am able to play guitar in this certain way to all the people who think I'm useless, and as a way to fill in my self-esteem holes and general insecurity that are leftovers from middle school, when I was late to puberty and wanted to be considered tough, and got into fights, but was really just dealing with the fact that I didn't really have an identity or anything that I felt was special about myself. So I was like using guitar basically to show off, and recording is a really efficient way to show off, because back then people would even be impressed that you recorded anything in the first place. But I even brought in CDs of other people's music that wasn't mine and said that it was to like lie and like make people think I was good. So it was pretty intense. And so I'm recording myself and making really wanky like albums that were really just self-advertising in a way. I mean, they made me feel stuff, but they mostly like were coming from a place of, this is what guitar is, this is who I am, and like you don't really mix on those things, you just kind of record it and pan something over here and put the level up like this or that, but you can't do automation really, and there isn't much to it. But like I was recording myself, and so it was sort of just an idea, like from the beginning, before I had a healthy relationship with music, that I was going to be recording. That was just like always a thing. And what really changed though was at Berklee I met people who were good at it, and that's the thing that I think everyone needs in their life as musicians, is to meet people who are good at things you're not good at firsthand, and see and hear and experience like their craft. And so Vince Welch, who's the producer for Bentonini, engineered Our Place and mixed a bunch of Ben Levin Group albums. And he and I have been friends for a long time, and I met him like in Berklee, and he kind of opened my eyes to the craft of mixing and like the fact that it's an art form in its own right. And so it went from me recording myself as part of my guitar development and expressing guitar things to starting to tell stories through production itself and through the nuances of sound. And so I've just mixed a bunch of albums really poorly. I've got a couple that are, I would say, aren't mixed very well that I still like the music, but I just like, could be a lot better. And I kept making basically shitty recordings. And I'd say Our Place is one of my first albums that I've mixed where I think it holds up. Like, I think it's just doesn't sound like it's not really missing much. Yeah, I can't think of anything I would change. But I mean, like, one of my favorite albums I made is called Life and Back, and it's like a hip hop album, and those songs are some of my favorite songs I've written. But I wish I could mix it again, do a little better. And like Sea Stories is an album I made in a month for this month album challenge, and like the mixing on that is not as good as I can do now, and I really would like to mix that one again if I could. But and then like, I mean, even People, the album that came out before Our Place, that was the first time I've mixed a live acoustic album, and there's stuff I do differently on that. So I guess I feel like if I were to sum it up in a much shorter phrase, you have to mix a bunch and record a bunch, and be self-critical and meet somebody who's better at it than you, who can help give you advice, and that will lead you to where you want to be.
Okay.
Fantastic. Cool, thank you.
Yes.
No problem.
I'm out buying light bulbs if I just keep my eyes closed. Fall into a manhole, tires pump on my skull, and I cling close to this wall. But the reins are fragile, like a waistline seatbelt or skinned knees on the asphalt.
I know Bentley are going on tour very soon, as you mentioned earlier, and I'm a fan anyway, so I saw it coming
Thanks.
up. I was wondering if you have any ambitions to tour with the Ben Levin group.
Well, I do have ambitions to do it. I just, there is definitely like, my dream is for Bentley to be like successful enough for us to be able to do what we're doing and be comfortable in, like, to have stability in our lives. Like, that would be really cool. Sometimes I don't even know if that's like really like possible, because I know some people in some very, very big bands, and if they don't tour for 2 years, they run out of money. Like, so if you have to tour to make your living, then it's not really comfortable, because touring something, I know people do it when they're very old, but I don't want to be necessarily touring 6 months a year for the rest of my life. I guess if I were on a bus and had like a lot of help, that would be one thing. But right now it's sort of like camping, I guess. It's just like, would you want to do camping forever? I mean, some people would, and some people do want to tour forever. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. It would be good to be able to have Bentley be so successful that I could book a Ben Levin group tour every now and then, and have a nice draw in small places, and have it be like a situation where we're profiting a little, so I can pay everyone in the band, and we can all go home and feel like that was a smart decision to go out on the road. So yeah, I'm getting real businessy about it. Like artistically, yes, I really want to do it, but I also know that like there are some compromises that you have to make, because I don't want to dwarf Bentley's efforts, and we are touring so much and pushing so hard that I wouldn't want to like focus the rest of my energy on touring Ben Levin Group and then get totally burnt out.
Yeah.
On top of the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's too much. There's not enough time to like do both full on.
For sure.
Yeah. But if anybody ever was like, here's a festival we really want you to play, and here's like 4 other dates around it, that kind of thing, I would jump at that opportunity for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Kissing in the shadows, choosing our battles, guessing at what matters with no clue.
Potentially a bit of a silly one here, but if you could collaborate with any musician ever, who would it be?
Well, the first person that comes to mind is Kendrick Lamar, but I don't know how I could possibly make what he does any better, because I just think the people. First of all, he is so musically sophisticated in expressing his own story. Like, I just don't think. I just feel like he is just such an incredible like leader of music, and then all the people he works with are like the perfect people for him to work with. So I don't feel like, oh man, if I got on a track, I would do this and it would make it better. Like for his case, that I feel like I do have a lot to offer as a hip hop producer, but in the case of Kendrick, I just feel like he's got his crew. Like he just picks people so well, and so if he ever saw something in me that he would really want, then I would really love to do it. But I feel like collaborating with him I would just want to watch instead of like actively make suggestions.
Yeah.
But then, so like the other person that comes to mind though would be like Bill Wirtz, who's, you know about him? He's a person on YouTube.
Totally.
The history of Japan and the history of the world. I think what he's doing is kind of a new form of music, or it's like a new social media art form where he makes super short media, not because I think he makes it because that's what he wants it to be. I think his super short stuff is complete. Like, I don't think they're just fragments of ideas. I think they're complete ideas in like 6 to 12 seconds or 25 seconds. And I think it's so amazing how he combines this unique visual thing with some old nostalgic stuff, with some like really fresh jazzy stuff and humor, and tells these surrealist stories in so little time, so efficiently. Just like he's writing for the social media instead of like diluting his vision to fit social media. He's like saying, here are the parameters of Vine, here are the parameters of YouTube. I'm going to make an art form that fits these parameters and expresses my concept. Like, instead of it being like, well, I'd really like people to listen to my full-length album, so I'm going to put teaser stuff online.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I see. Yeah.
It's not like trying to promote yourself with social media. He's using it as a canvas. And I just love the vibe and the sounds and the like, sometimes the complete joy, and then sometimes like this really twisted darkness. There's like a full emotional palette in Bill Wurtz's videos if you like dig deep and keep watching them. And I just think he's sort of underrated as an artist. He's perfectly well rated as a like viral content maker, but I think that he should have an exhibit in the MoMA or something.
No, that's a really really cool perspective. And I think if there was ever a Ben Levin and Bill Wurtz collab, that would have a lot of potential to be awesome. So
I agree. I think it would be so wild, like because what he did with History of Japan, that to me is music. Like that whole thing is music, and it's because it's rhythm. It like the rhythm of it is everything. The rhythm and the sound is what people are like so taken by that video. You know, have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, totally.
You're like so enthralled by it. Like I don't know. Everyone I've ever shown it to is just like they can't stop watching it, and it's because it's amazing music. Like the whole thing is music. The visuals are perfectly representing and enhancing the music. It's like if you can write something that compelling, that is so different from anything else anyone's ever seen. I mean, that is to me like genius defined. That right there. So yeah, I'd love to like make a long form thing with him or whatever, and just kind of follow his lead and see where that goes. That would be amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Probably final question, because I've noticed we're taking up quite a lot of your time. But
It's all good. I'm just sitting around in my green pants, baby.
Cool. I've noticed a lot more animation than by yourself recently on your channel. I'm not sure if that's just me kind of perceiving it like that. But would you ever be interested in doing a short film? I know the Flumbus Lives was something kind of akin to that. But say something that was like 15, 20 minutes long. Is that something that interests you?
Yeah. Well, like I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but I made an animation for the first movement of Our Place.
Yeah, I've watched that.
So that direction is really very exciting to me. Like I'm super happy with that piece, and I'm honestly like I feel like a little hesitant to announce it, because sometimes when you say you're going to do something, it makes you feel like you did it, and then it's like it's. But anyway, I want to animate the whole album.
Wow.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's my goal. But I'm also like, I wanted to put it out before I finished animating the whole album, because otherwise it would come out in 2 years. So like, I'm gonna just do it one at a time, starting. Next one I would do would be Waiting Room, and just go like track by track. I do have an idea for everything, and I think it's like perfect album for animation. And so the answer is yes, absolutely.
Well, I'll look forward to that in a couple of years then.
Yeah, I mean it'll be gradual, so hopefully there'll be another one this year. That would be so good if I could get another done. That little tiny short 2.5 minute or whatever animation for In took me 3 months, and I was like working every chance I had to work on it. Every second I could be working on it, I was working on it, and it was also because I was learning how to do it as I went. But still, it's like time consuming.
Out of interest, what software do you use for the animation?
Well, so I do my line work in Adobe Animate, because they have like the way that program works. It makes it easy to be methodical about your lines.
Yeah.
It's vector based instead of pixel based, which means like once you draw a line, you can manipulate it by clicking it
Yeah.
instead of and then you can like move it around instead of whereas in Photoshop you have to select pixels, which it's not that interesting. Anyway, I do my lines in Animate, and then I do my coloring mostly in Animate, but then I do my backgrounds and more involved textures and more emotional lines and emotional textures in Photoshop, and then I do the lighting in After Effects.
Right.
And so from those three that like workflow, that's where I get like the more like the good stuff.
Right.
Comes from all three.
Thanks so much, Ben. It's been a real pleasure chatting to you. And
yeah, to you as well. And I appreciate First of all, I appreciate that you listened to my album, that you guys are so thoughtful about it, that you listen to Bentley, and that you care about what I'm doing. It really is something I never want to take for granted. It definitely, it's something that I really enjoy. Like, I really enjoy expressing stuff to people and being part of this kind of conversation of like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And then, yeah, it's something I treasure. So I appreciate you.
Waiting for the surgeon, shrinking with each second stroke of you.